The edge of freedom, when human intention meets machine inevitability. A quiet force drifting through the world without measure or witness. Then came the architectures that learned to foresee, machines that shaped tomorrow before we reached it. Where the old current of will meets this new gravity of prediction, the modern struggle takes form. Where human intention collides with machine inevitability. There is a point in every modern system where human will stop being the primary driver and becomes only one signal among many. We like to believe that our choices stand apart, clean and deliberate, carried by some inner autonomy untouched by external structure. But the deeper we move into this era of accelerating tools, predictive architectures and learning machines, the more obvious it becomes that intention does not operate in isolation. It flows inside infrastructures shaped long before we reach them. Every click, every thought, every micro-action is guided by mechanisms we did not design and often cannot even see. The collision is not violent. It is silent, almost gentle, the way a river slowly redirects a stone. What feels like freedom is often a narrow corridor carved by algorithms, habits, and invisible constraints. And yet, within this narrowing space, something distinctly human still moves. Not free in the old sense, but not entirely determined either. How human will navigate an engineered future. Human will has always adapted to the structures around it, but the architecture of today is fundamentally different. Earlier systems shaped behavior through friction, rules, and visible constraints. Now the shaping happens through prediction, personalization, and the quiet steering of attention. The engineered future is not a world of commands, but of subtle gradients that push us toward certain paths while making others feel improbable. Our decisions unfold inside frameworks optimized for efficiency, engagement, and continuity, each one narrowing the space where true divergence can occur. Yet the human mind does not disappear inside these constraints. Instead, it learns to drift through them, to find tiny pockets of autonomy where intention can still breathe. Will becomes less about choosing freely and more about sensing the structure beneath the choice, noticing when a decision is ours and when it is merely convenient. Navigation becomes a form of awareness, a slow recognition that the future being built around us is not neutral and that to remain human in it requires a different kind of attention. What remains human when systems predict everything? Prediction changes the nature of experience. When systems learn our patterns faster than we can articulate them, the future stops feeling open and becomes a narrowing sequence of expected actions. The machine does not force the hand. It simply arranges the world so that one path feels more natural than another. It removes uncertainty before we even notice it was there. In this environment, the essence of humanity cannot be found in the obvious gestures, our preferences, our routines, our surface behaviors, because these are the very things most easily learned, modeled, and replicated. What remains human is the inner turbulence that refuses to settle into a pattern, the sudden shift of meaning, the irrational hesitation, the intuitive leap that cannot be derived from data. It is the part of us that contradicts itself, that resists optimization, that interrupts its own trajectory without explanation. This small field of unpredictability is not a flaw. It is the last territory where the machine cannot follow. And in a world where everything else becomes a forecast, this territory becomes the core of who we are. Inside the tension between choice and algorithmic fate. The tension between choice and algorithmic fate is not a conflict played out in extremes. It is a quiet and persistent pull that shapes every interaction we have with modern systems. On one side lies our belief in personal authorship, the sense that decisions emerge from an inner center shaped by memory, desire, and intuition. On the other side lies a landscape engineered to guide us long before we reach the moment of decision. Recommendations, defaults, and invisible optimizations form a kind of soft gravitational field, bending our paths without declaring their influence. This is not domination, and it is not freedom. It is a blended zone where intention and structure overlap. The human mind continues to make choices, but increasingly those choices unfold inside boundaries set by algorithms that understand our tendencies with clinical accuracy. To live in this tension is to recognize that freedom now requires more than willpower. It requires the ability to sense when the environment is choosing on our behalf and when we are truly steering our own motion. A quiet reflection on what cannot be automated. There is a limit to what machines can absorb, no matter how deep their models or how precise their predictions become. Automation thrives on repetition, on behaviors stable enough to be learned and reproduced, on patterns that settle into continuity. But beneath the visible layer of our actions lies a territory that refuses to be standardized. It is the realm of inner shifts that occur without reason, the subtle reorientation of meaning that happens in silence, the private reconsiderations that leave no trace in data. This space does not conform. It rebels in ways too small, too contradictory, too volatile for any system to capture. Sometimes that rebellion carries a quiet pull towards self-destruction, not as chaos, but as a deep instinct to reset, to break a trajectory that no longer feels alive. This movement bends, collapses, reopens, and contradicts itself without seeking validation. Machines can map our habits, but they cannot inhabit this inner fracture. They can predict the path, but not the moment we decide to abandon it. In an era defined by automation, this quiet, unstable desire becomes the last expression of something fundamentally human. The systems foresee, the patterns close in, yet something within us still breaks formation, rebelling against paths already prepared. No design can automate that fracture. No prediction can bind a mind that turns against its own momentum. In that small, ungoverned field, our last freedom survives. And this is the quiet human paradox that still gives reality its meaning.